Hello everyone, I'm Annie Gibbins and you're listening to Memoirs of Successful Women, the podcast where you get to hear candid conversations with fascinating women from around the globe who share aspects of their business and life journey, how they measure their success, and what they have learnt along the way. Hello everybody and welcome to Memoirs of Successful Women. Today I'm going to introduce you to Francine Ayala, who is from Women Empowering Women Los Angeles. She's all about helping women become their best self, and we're going to hear about her journey from the age of 17 and what it's taken and the journey that she has gone on to become a very successful entrepreneur. So welcome to the program, Francine.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. What does life look like for you currently in Los Angeles and the work that you're doing?
Oh, wow. It's like, what am I not doing? About 3 years ago, I started a page on the Facebook group called Women Empowering Women Los Angeles, like you mentioned. I call it WELA for short because, it's such a long name. And so I started to really kind of focus on building a space of community and sisterhood for women all over, because I went through a different struggle in my past, of feeling alone and helpless and loneliness and all of that stuff. So I wanted to create this space. And so I've since then been kicking off women empowerment summits and conferences, really bringing this community together by hosting networking events, by hosting social meet and greets, by going on hikes. So I'm consistently moving with that group, and we're going to be kicking off a travel group soon. Wow. And I mean, so there's just a lot to come. Our Women Empowerment Summit is on March 6th. It's the first time we're going virtual because it's normally in person.
Yeah.
And so just a lot of background, technicalities to work on. I just started with a new team, and so we're all kind of building it out together. And it's been a little chaotic, but I'm so happy to have a great group of women that support me and are just all on board for what's to come for WELA. So it's pretty exciting.
I think WELA has been such a success story and probably a bit of a surprise for you, because you didn't start it with that intent that it would just become your whole everything, right?
Yeah. So when I started it,
to support women to hopefully not have the difficulties that you had, right?
Right. I was going through depression at the time. And so I wanted to really create that space to say, hey, I'm not doing this alone. And so that's why I kind of emphasize to the women, like, you're not doing life alone. Remember, there's a community of women that want to support you. And so, I mean, I get so many messages saying, thank you so much for having this space. I appreciate it. It's broken me out of my shell, and just so many great stories from women from all over, because people not just in Los Angeles, California, but people from all over the world are joining now. And so that's been really amazing to kind of experience. And I didn't foresee it back then when I started what it would become, but I know I spoke it out into the universe, what I wanted it to become. So like one of my struggles was I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't want to work for corporate America anymore. So I kept saying, I was driving Uber and Lyft, and I kept saying to my female passengers, I have a women empowerment group, and we're going to do monthly events where we're going to go out and just socialize and get to know each other and network and dance and, have dinner. And they all loved it. And so I just continued to speak it out of what I wanted and how I was going to have events and how I was going to do women empowerment summits. And it literally has just come to fruition. So that's really exciting.
I think that's awesome. The conversations that are in the Uber, right? But that's where you tapped into, instead of creating something that is, a artificial environment that has invited people in, you've actually approached it in the other way, that you've just done life with people. You've shared what's on your heart, what you're passionate about. And then I'm noticing these groups pop up all over the place. There's a real demand. What were the women who were then excited about hearing what you were sharing in the Uber? What were they looking for? Were they looking for what you were offering, or did they just come with their own desires straight away?
No, some of the women, they were just like, oh, I'm all about it. I'm all about women empowerment. I'm all about supporting other women. So I want to say out of all the women I had given the information to, I want to say about 90% of them were just like all on board.
Wow.
You know, there's some women that were just like, oh, that's great, you know? So again, you're not going to be, I always tell my clients, I go, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
Exactly.
You got to be your greatest cheerleader. There's going to be people that love you. There's going to be people that don't care for you. And that's okay. You're your own unique person.
Yeah.
And so by growing this, I've actually become a mindset coach for women and coaching them to live their best life. And so that's, I'm in the process of creating that space as well. So there's just a lot of stuff that has come together because I was excited about empowering women. And you're right about I've been doing life with them. It is in my heart. I'm a woman of faith, and I believe that serving others and being grateful in life is just going to take you to new heights, you know? And so, yeah. It's all come together.
I'm so excited about that. So how have people supported you then? When you get something that just pretty much grows exponentially overnight, how have you grown a support community? How have you funded the opportunity to have something that really serves people well?
Yeah, so that's a great question because I was literally coming up with all these kind of ways to try to figure it out because again, we want to be able to be a support system, you know, on a greater scale, right? So I had the fact in my heart for the last 2 years that I was going to start a nonprofit. So when I started this, you know, idea of how it was going to move the group into the events space and so forth, I wanted to start a nonprofit to focus on giving back to women and children in, you know, all the areas of life and career, you know, different types of free workshops, you know, assistance, whatever it is that they needed help with. Well, since 2019, I was, you know, trying to build it, trying to grow it, and we were going. And then each year I was like negative. So I tried to keep costs low, but it was just like, before you know it, I was paying out of pocket. And so like people were asking me, are you paying yourself? And I'm like, paying myself what?
Yeah.
So it was so funny. And so March of 2020, we had our Women Empowerment Summit, and we came up with a positive, return on investment. And I said, this is the year. This is it. It's going to happen. We're going to start our nonprofit. And then pandemic hit.
You were almost there.
I was almost there. I kid you not. I was in an email with the gentleman that was going to get all the paperwork started, and I was ready to just hit send. It was that close. And this happened. Our event was March 6th of 2020, and by March 13th, everything shut down. And so I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So
how do you cope with that? That's hard. That's hard for someone who's just come out of depression, right? And then you're suddenly on a high because everything's coming. Yes. You're getting blessed beyond belief on what you actually, you know, breathed into existence, and then this happens.
Right.
How did that affect
and then the roadblock.
Yeah.
So I, you know, of course I prayed about it, and I was just like, you know, what's my next step? You know, what do I do? And at this time, it was like, put it on pause, wait until I build something even bigger. And then once, you know, the income is coming through steadily, then start the nonprofit.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm not going to stress out about it anymore. So we decided to kick off a couple of more events and grow the page and so forth with the current events that we have. So I have a team that's actually working with me to do that so that, you know, we can continue to grow successfully.
That's it. You know, there's the incredible value of, bringing other people alongside you so that you can do it together, because you burn yourself out pretty quickly in these circumstances, right? Everything's a great idea. I think you started the interview in that way of, what am I not doing? You know, it's like the life of an entrepreneur, right? It's just like, I have to do everything, but you don't, and people are happy to come alongside you. So your journey's been really interesting though, because you're here capable enough to to create something, pull it all together, be running summits, doing your own coaching. But I know that you really struggled from a very early age on being able to see your worth and see your value. And a lot of that links to your story of education, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So how about you share a little bit about that journey for us?
Yes. And so, wow. I mean, I was a single mom at the age of 17, and I went into the banking industry. I went into, work for corporate America, and I worked and just, continued to do what I knew. And I never looked for the second level because I wasn't educated enough. Or back then it was like you had to have a degree. You had to have, it was a bachelor's of some sort in order for anybody to look your way. And so I was very discouraged. And it was funny because one of my very strong suits now is communication. Yeah. And when I was in my early 20s, I remember self-sabotaging in my head while I was talking to somebody in a suit that was executive level. And I, in my head, would say, Francine, you are not good enough to be in this conversation. Walk away. Like, that's how clear my voices in my head would just be like, you don't have a degree. You're not good enough. Therefore, just walk away. So it really kept me into a place where I didn't really go for a lot of the promotions. I didn't really try to excel in my career. I mean, I did. Don't get me wrong. I went from like teller to, they called it banker. They called it teller supervisor and whatnot. And so eventually went to assistant manager, but it was just, I did it for years. I mean, I was in banking for for 17 years. And so you can imagine that I held myself back at such a low level that I didn't pursue even bigger. And so I look back and I just think, wow, so when so many women do it for so long, and to know where they're at now versus where they were, it's just like we all share kind of similar stories, where we've done that to ourselves. And so I like to share my story because I know I can connect with so many other women that have gone through that or are currently still going through it. And then I can share with them how I got out of it. Because ultimately, again, it is just mindset. It's our thoughts that create our reality. And so there just needs to be a shift there. So self-sabotage is real.
Oh, it's so real. It's so real. And I know so many of the listeners will be relating to this because I meet these people all the time who are just saying, this is my situation. I can't get out of it. I don't have those opportunities. Whereas you're saying, of course you do have those opportunities, but you do have to believe that you are of value and you are capable. And so you're obviously learning all of those skills and had that capacity, but it was mindset. I want to stay there for a minute with you then. So you're saying it was you, because other people would say, well, is it society that does this to women? Why do you say I allowed myself? It was my thinking. Do you think it's you? Do you think it's society that puts that on particularly young women to feel that way?
I think it was a combination of both because, our parents had it embedded into them that they needed an education in order to be successful. Yeah. Therefore, they, pushed it upon us that that's what we needed. And so, same thing with, it's going to kind of tie into my depression, but same thing with marriage. Back then it was just like you had to be married by, a certain time, kids, the white picket fence. And when I started this Facebook group 3 years ago, I was going to be 40 years old and I was still not married. I had my son at the age of 17. So, I had him, of course, he was my family, but it was that stigma that kind of just surrounded me as far as like what society had, placed upon me that needed to take place in my life according to, all these people. And so it's so funny because I couldn't believe that has kept me, in a box for so long of a way of thinking when in actuality, that's not the case.
Exactly.
And so, yeah.
Don't give it a box. That's right. We think of it as a tick list to being, okay. It's like,
Right.
Tip, are you married? Do you have a child? Do you have,
Correct.
are you a mom? Do you have a certain qualification? Do you have a certain career or a title? And all these things, whether they're a tick list or keeping them in a box, it's an
Right.
imaginary box. It's a
Yeah.
societal box that then makes you think, okay, well, if I've got to live inside that framework, then I'm not okay. So what allowed you to go, hello, what if I shift that thinking? What if I am capable? What if I can use the skills and the natural abilities that I do have, and those connections that I've made along my career thus far? What allowed you to imagine there's more?
So, when I started to do events, actually it happened, I want to say the majority of it happened probably when I started to volunteer at a nonprofit. It was called, it was a chamber of commerce. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. It was a chamber of commerce, and they were looking for volunteers to basically help run the events that they had. So it was kind of like myself putting, stepping out of my comfort zone to speak, to work on different events, to meet new people. So that kind of, it got me out of a comfort zone that I was just really stuck in because I didn't venture out of it.
Yes.
And so it allowed me that ability to connect to other people and just kind of even speaking to them, on a different level than I've ever spoken. And so you build friendships, you build connections through networking. And I started doing the events. And at one point, I was even the MC of one of the events.
Yeah.
And so I became, obviously, when I first started speaking, they were just like, "Oh, I remember you were so nervous," and I'm like, "Wow," because looking back at how you used to react. And then over time, I started to self-develop. I started to read self-development books. I was in a company that was all about, personal development and really, pushing you up to be the best version of yourself. And that happened back in 2016, and it hasn't stopped since.
Wow.
And so now we're in 2021, and, sky's the limit for my dreams. I literally am going to be a women empowerment speaker, traveling the world, inspiring women from all over the country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All over the country, all over the world, and beyond. So I'm excited. I'm speaking it out because that's what's going to happen. I'm already doing it, I just need to get there. So I'm coming to Sydney or Australia.
Come and team up with me in Sydney, Australia. Absolutely. And what I love about your journey is that you've obviously always had this, nature and this capacity, a capacity to serve, a capacity to, and heart to, encourage and mentor and grow other people. But you're stuck in a smaller world, and there's nothing wrong with that job or nothing wrong with that world. We need to do that. But that's right. I love the way volunteering or helping someone else out showed you, which you wouldn't have done yourself, that, oh my gosh, these next level up people are not scary. They actually value my abilities. And the fact that you don't have to be an expert straight away, right? I think that's an incredible lesson that people need to learn. When they see people talking in front of thousands and running things, none of them started like that. You didn't start that way. I didn't start that way. And so that's right. We can all look back and go, oh my gosh, that was a bit of an epic fail, but we learn and we grow. And then that's right. And you find what you love, right? And you can see it just overflowing out of you. You just love connecting with people and growing people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you finding that women are wanting the same sorts of things in your empowerment? What does empowering women mean to you? And what are they asking you for in the current global view?
Yeah, so they're asking for support. They're asking for, any type of, like, I've had some women reach out to me for just to have a conversation with them over Zoom, just to kind of sit down with them during pandemic. It's hit a lot of women. So it's really a support system, that sisterhood, that empowering means to me, as far as like, allowing that connection to help one another rise. Because, it's all about helping each other out, because I could be low one day and somebody else is high, and I can turn to them and their energy to help me get through it. Yeah. So I really tell the women in the group to stay connected, whether it be, you know, just to even share maybe an experience or, you know, a struggle that they're dealing with, share it in the group, because there's women that just want to come and support you and be your rock. You know what I mean? Because we don't have high days every day. And, you know, and so it's just, it's an opportunity to understand that we're human. And so it's okay to, you know, to kind of have one of those days, but remember that you're not alone doing it. You're not doing life alone. And so, empowerment to me is just all about, you know, connecting with one another and helping each other rise. So,
I love that. I love that. I've got a Facebook group called Women Collaborating Globally, and it's a bit like that. It's like, you know, you can just share your win, and, you know, and hundreds of people or whatever. It's just like, you know, put it out there because you're having a good day and you want, you know, it's lovely to be able to go, you know what, I'm pretty proud of myself here, or this opportunity happened, or, you know, or I just want to put this out into the universe that I want, you know, I'm reining this vision in. And then that's supportive. It's not intimidating to other people. It's not negative that, oh, I'm having a great day, you're not, because we all have good days and then other days that we go, oh, I mean, that lady's inspired me today, right? Or even just going, I'm in a rut, can someone help me, you know, and to have fresh energy come in and just feel like you're just surrounded by, you know, love and affirmation. I love that.
Yes. And it's everyone has a different perspective. And so I love that. Like, you know, there's not a lot of negativity in the group at all. I mean, sometimes somebody will share like a struggle. And so of course, if somebody posts to the group, it has to be approved. And so we try to get those, like, you know, in there so that boom, 30 women are just like, let me help you with this, or you can take this route, and you can, you know, and it's just, oh, my heart is so warm. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, this is why I love you ladies, you know? And so I even comment, I'm like, you ladies rock. I mean, seriously, it's, you're not doing life alone, because everybody is here to support you no matter what. So we're consistently doing empowerment posts and so forth. And, you know, giving that space for women to meet each other, to connect, and then also to share, you know, if they're struggling with anything. And then of course, I'm always opening it up to say, hey, if you need to connect, I'm here, you know, you can DM me. Like, it's, you know, I'm available as much as I can. So
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
What have been your biggest challenges, Francine?
As far as
just growing your business, growing yourself, equipping yourself to be able to keep up with your vision, right?
Oh my goodness. Yes, absolutely right. I'm sorry, something got in my eye. So my biggest challenge, I think is the funniest thing, is technology. So I kid you not, like, I don't know if you ladies have ever, you know, seen or tried to do something on a big scale, and you're just like, wait, there's email marketing, there's automation, there's this, there's that, there's social media, there's
it's overwhelming. I tell you what, it's overwhelming to many.
There's funnels, there's ads,
I know.
I'm just like, what? You don't know how many trainings, webinars, people messaging me, people selling to me, like, just insane. And so it's funny that you asked that, because I'm one of the programs or memberships we're creating. It's going to be our VIP membership, and it's going to kick off right after our summit. But it's literally going to be the opportunity to come into one space, one group, and learn it all.
Wow.
No craziness. I mean, I kid you not. I mean, I was lost. I didn't know all this stuff. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I know how to plan an event. I know how to logistically maneuver it. I know how to market it. But I mean, I was seeing things on a whole nother level when I was doing, you know, I was promoting the women's group. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I need a team. I need a team. Like, I need to hire people. Like, this is crazy. And so, sure enough, I found a great team that I'm working with that we're now building out everything, such as the automation, such as email marketing. We're not doing ads because, again, our stuff grows pretty organically. I mean, we get about 50 to 70 women joining our group a week.
Yeah.
And so, it's growing on that level. But like, I kid you not, that was the hardest thing for me, was that understanding technology too, because it's constantly evolving, as I'm sure you know. So,
Absolutely. And I think that's a common area, just to go, wow, because you feel comfortable. It's a classic out of your comfort zone. You're good. You're good at what you do. To be able to do that in a scalable level suddenly has to embrace technology, and it has to embrace, all of that automation and funnels and communications and all of this sort of thing. So suddenly it's like, how do other people make it look so easy, right?
That's what I could not fathom. I'm like, how is this so beautiful? And what are they doing?
Do they clone themselves? It's like there's not enough hours in the day to be able to do these tasks. And then you just find people with those gifts. And then that's right. Everything is learnable, right? You just kind of then work out, how do you learn those skills, or also be able to then have a plan to afford to pay people to do that, so that you can stay in the space that's your genius zone, right? So you also don't have to do all things, but we do have to have an understanding of what they are. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So I knew I needed to hire people. I was just like, I can't do this all alone, And I just want to share one quick thing, really quick. I had COVID back in June.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, it felt like the flu for me, but I was just tired. I was just in bed. And but every day I showed up on that women's group and posted something. And so, but nobody knew until one of the members, she reached out and she's like, "You are a queen." She's like, "You were still posting and still working while you were sick." She's the sweetest. But not that many people know that. I mean, I literally worked still through that because I wanted to show up for them as much as possible, because again, once it's consistency. You're familiar with consistency, and because once you go silent, you're just like, everyone's like, "Hey, what's happening?"
Exactly. Where's our ship's captain gone?
So I laugh at that because, of course, to me, it was just something natural. You always serve, right? And it's just like, but she was just like, "I can't believe you did that." I kind of just giggled, and I'm like, "Oh, you found out." So
that is a classic, and yes, superhuman, and yes, and you are allowed to have a rest, by the way, particularly if you're very sick. Oh my goodness,
I know.
What do you see? We're talking about your challenges, then what about your opportunities? So you want to be a global speaker. What does that mean? Like, how are you going to approach that? How do you speak it into the universe, and you have a big goal? So how are you going to make that happen?
Okay, so I love that. So basically, I'm all about again, the mindset and speaking it out, writing it down, chasing your goals, your dreams, and just really taking actionable steps to make it happen. Yeah. Well, I'm in the process of putting my media kit together, and then also I'm traveling the U.S. starting in July. So it'll start in the US, and it literally is just going to start off by who is having any speaking events that I can attend. Wow. And just really going out there and putting myself out there to do the US, and then eventually into other countries, because not only, like I mentioned, people in LA are in our group, but people from all over the world. So we have people from London, from Paris, and I think the Philippines, as well. And so it's nice. It's lovely. I love meeting people from all over the world. I mean, women, I love connecting with women who are just inspired and empowered.
So. Oh, I love that. And it's a really great lesson for those who are listening in to see that, you can wait for things to come to you. But when you're passionate, like you are, Francine, it's actually saying, no, I'm actually just going to, I'm going to go on a road trip. And that's a big road trip around the US.
Yeah.
But it's actually intentionally seeking out opportunities, getting yourself in, like that happened to you on your journey when you suddenly had an opportunity to even volunteer and you suddenly put yourself out of your comfort zone and learned these new skills. That's right. You're probably at that same point of going, I don't know how to do this. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I don't know how to get connected, but I will go through the process. I will create my media kit. I'll make myself available. I will put myself in front of these people. And that's right. Most of the time, it works, right? Because nothing's impossible. It's all there. It's just believing that you are capable of doing that and you're more than capable, right?
Yes, absolutely. People are like, oh my goodness, I can never speak in public. And it's like, you can never speak in public because that's what you keep telling yourself. But once you start changing those words, I can speak in public. I meet new people. I am whatever goes after I am is who you become. So yes.
Yeah. What are the biggest challenges from those women you're currently working with?
Biggest challenges actually are past traumas. And so it's, I know I always say I'm not a therapist, definitely not a therapist. My goal is to make sure that I'm helping you build your future life and how you want to see that and how you want to take those steps to get there. So I teach them, vision board. I teach them how to have a, calendar of working on their goals. But, what tends to continuously come up is the past trauma. And so when it gets to that point, I definitely always recommend that they talk to a therapist because they're professionals that are focused on working on trauma. But it's a matter of them, just kind of like not being able to, continuously get through those roadblocks, that they're facing with, not being good enough to parents, not living up to the expectation of parents and, things like that, or where some of them were consistently being talked down to where they're not good enough. And so they create this image in their head that it's like, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve this. I'm not worthy. And so it's really breaking down those, thoughts and understandings that, as long as I try to kind of see what works for them. Is it consistently visually seeing something that they're working towards, or is it consistently writing down something? So are they letting go of the bad, and then writing in who they are now and who they're going to become? So those are the challenges that I've seen with my clients, and how we're just kind of breaking through those types of challenges that they've been experiencing. So,
and for those women who want to come along to your summit, what will they receive at the summit?
So the summit, I'm so excited. So the summit is all about empowering, obviously, and inspiring women from all over the world. We are going to have a confidence building coach. We're all about self-love. We are going to have someone who's going to literally talk about social media management, where to start your own business if you're curious, and how to do it. And get the right steps to get you going. And then also she's gonna touch on manifesting her own business and how she got to be her own boss. And then we still have speakers coming in, but I'm personally closing with the mindset and how to create the living your best life dream, and how we're gonna go through those steps of what to do as you're planning your next year to 2 years to 5 years to 10 years. And so we're going to work on a plan, in that summit to go through living your best life, because I'm all about it.
Absolutely. And we should be having a strategic planning session on
where we
are, where we want to go, and absolutely put in really high goals of what, don't limit yourself in your planning. That's for sure, right? You can always aim for the stars. So
I have one more speaker coming in that will touch on pandemic and then the struggles of it and how to break free of, what's been happening with trauma and so forth. So but
fantastic. So how do people find you, Francine?
So I'm actually all over social media.
What a surprise.
Type out my name. I always tell people that, but no, they can find me on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm trying to remember. And then also obviously the Women Empowering Women's Group, Los Angeles. Our hashtag is WEWLA, so WEWLA. If they search that hashtag, they'll be able to find us there. But yeah, I'm happy to connect. FrancineAyala.com. And just reach out if you have any questions, and I'm always happy to help.
Fantastic. Well, I'll be putting all of your details and your social media tags on my podcast platform for those who do want to follow you up. And you've still got spots available at your summit, so they can still come along. And I think that's great. If you're out of area, you're still welcome. This summit's going to be virtual anyway.
Virtual, yeah.
So it's a really great way to get connected. So let's finish this interview then with what you see as success. What is a successful woman in your mind?
Oh, a successful woman is someone who is happy with themselves, with their life. They're inspired, they're empowered, they want to serve others. They feel grateful for, what they've been able to bring, to the world, to their life, to their business. Just somebody that is just content, and not even content, because I always want them to want more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just happy and just, fulfilled.
Yeah.
I really want them to stay in that space. And that is a successful woman, because I understand that every woman is at their own happiness level, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's okay, you know what I mean? But I always tell women, and our summit title is Women Empowerment Summit, Queens Are Meant for More. It's because I want you to want more, because you deserve more, and you're meant for more. Mm-hmm. And I always say God made us to be extraordinary, not ordinary. Yeah. So definitely live up to your potential every single day and to be fulfilled.
I love that. And that resonates so strongly with me. My 3 masterclasses are Be More, Achieve More, and Earn More.
Oh, nice. I love it.
All about absolutely asking more, not to make things stressful for you, not to make it too hard, to actually just help you strive, to go, there's always something more. And that's it. I love the way you spoke about that contentment to fulfillment. You can be fulfilled. I love that you're wanting a sense of fulfillment, that, I'm really happy where I am. And that comes with contentment, but that is for a time, because you're always then asking, going, well, what is next? Not to always be on a roller coaster, but to actually go, I've got opportunity to give. I've got opportunity to grow. I've got opportunity to learn, right? So I think I love what you said there. That was really beautiful.
Yes. Always learning, always growing. You have to.
Well, thank you so much for being on my program today. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I wish you all the best for your future success.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And same to you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you to Christiana for the introduction. So grateful.
Thank you. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Memoirs of Successful Women. You can find me at anniegibbins.com, where you can download my free resources, get connected on social, and check out my online magic transformation program. If you love this show, feel free to subscribe to future episodes, and of course, share it with your friends. I'll see you again soon, and until then, happy podcasting.